A couple videos ago I made some tools to harvest copper from scrap electric motors, and it worked pretty well, but I am curious how much you can actually make doing this. So I have acquired approximately 3,000 pounds of scrap AC induction motors, all piled here on this table, and I'm going to process them all and see what comes of it. So it's pretty simple. First thing to do is cut the casing off the motor. I'm going to use a plasma cutter because I have one. You can absolutely do this with a grinder and cutoff wheel as well. It just takes longer. So once you got the case off, then we just need to cut through these 4 bolts that hold the end bells together. Then knock one of the ends off. Usually the back end is easier. There you go. That's the stator out. I would like to get that aluminum off there, but not if it's going to take me all day, so I'll figure that out later. Got those all cut up. The sheet metal cased ones were easy enough, but most of the ones that were cased in cast iron were too thick to easily cut with the plasma cutter, so I just ended up smashing them apart with a hammer, and that was a ton of work. So I definitely need to come up with a better system for that if I do this again. But I did end up with a nice pile of stators and some transformers, so I'm going to go and start pulling the copper out of these. I'm all ready to go here. This is very safe. I've got all the steel piled up on the truck here, along with some clean aluminum, dirty aluminum, a little bit of insulated wire, all the motor windings I put in this barrel, and then this tub actually has all the copper from that big transformer that was sitting there. That was too big to fit in the splitter, so I ended up taking it apart by hand, which was really tedious, but it did have a bunch of copper in it, so. But I am super curious to find out what this all breaks down to, so let's go to the scrapyard. On the scale ticket that the scrapyard gave me, there was 240 pounds of number 2 copper. That was all the motor windings and the windings from those small transformers that were in that blue barrel. There's 80 pounds of cast aluminum. Some of it was clean, some of it was dirty. I cleaned some of it. It's kind of negligible anyway, but I just put it in there to be complete. And 2,740 pounds of short steel, and that was all the stators, rotors, casings, etc. So that comes out to 3,060 pounds of total electric motors. And if you divide 240 pounds of windings by 3,060 pounds total, you get 7.8% copper by weight. That's a little bit lower than I thought it would be, but it actually might be a bit better if we make some assumptions here. We weighed the copper on the truck scale, and the truck scale rounds to the nearest 20-pound increment, I think. So it's possible that there was up to 250 pounds of copper, and it got rounded down to 240. Additionally, I know I put some extra steel on there that was not part of the motors, and I think it was about 200 to 250 pounds. So if we take that into account and assume there was 2,500 pounds of steel and 250 pounds of copper, and do the math again, it comes out to 8.8% copper by weight for those motors. So based on that, I would assume that a given pile of electric motors is going to be about 7.5 to 9% copper by weight. As to how much I actually made doing this, if I had taken those motors in whole, it would have been 3,060 pounds, as I said. The yard I went to and all the yards around that I could find were paying 15 cents a pound for electric motors, so that would have been $459 if I had just taken them to the yard and dumped them off. Because I broke them down, it was 240 pounds of number 2 copper times $3.15 a pound, plus 2,740 pounds of short steel times 10.5 cents per pound, plus $22 for the aluminum, which comes to $1,065.70 total. So the $1,065 minus the $459 I would have got for them whole is a $606 increase in the value by breaking them down. It took me 2 days to break them all down. I'm gonna call it 16 to 20 hours. I figured 2 8 to 10 hour shifts, give or take. So that $606 divided by 16 to 20 hours comes out to about $30 to almost $40 an hour. I think that's pretty good for me. There is definitely room for improvement as well to make the process go faster. There was really 2 big bottlenecks. One was cutting cast iron cases off. I was not well equipped for that. I ended up mostly just smashing them off with a hammer, which was pretty tedious and a ton of work. It took a lot longer than I thought it would. And the other thing that slowed me down a lot was pulling the windings. This thing just doesn't have quite enough power to pull the bigger ones. I think you could see even on the time lapse, I struggled with a few of them. I had to get in there and kind of wiggle it until I could break a chunk loose and then just sort of work my way around the whole stator. And that was pretty tedious. It would have been nice to be able to just do them all in one cycle like I could on a lot of the smaller ones. But I've got lots of ideas for better ways to do that, and I would definitely call this a success. I would do it again. If I come across another deal on electric motors, I probably will do it again. Thanks for watching.